All right, welcome back to the Breakout Series Halloween Havoc. We have one match left in store for all our viewers at home. I'm James Jamerson Lee, joined once again by Evan Wonderchef Hashimoto. Did I get that right? I got that right without looking. Yes, I did it.
Perfect.
We've got some amazing matches today, and hopefully we'll have one last final one tonight. It's gonna be, wait, what? The match already take place?
Yeah, so I thought we were going to do that match as well, but it looks like we're just going to move forward to the losers semifinals match, and I guess maybe we'll only have 3 matches tomorrow. But yeah, I thought we were going to be watching Tekka versus Inarizaki, but it does look like that one already played out, and Inarizaki took it 2-0. I would like to see some Tekka clan. Congratulations to them for placing, I guess technically now 5th place in a pretty stacked bracket. But I guess we're probably going to see then the rematch of what was the match that knocked the Powerpuff Girls into the losers bracket. So I was curious. I literally asked a bunch of times, and I actually saw a lot of people in chat saying, "Oh wow, like that was a 2-0 in Inarizaki versus Powerpuff Girls," because they are looking super good. Powerpuff Girls. I mean, both teams. But you know, like you said, maybe it's a close 2-0. We'll see if it happens again.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see that, right? In that Inarizaki match versus Bozo's. First map was competitive. Second map looked a little bit more one-sided. So these 2-0s aren't the complete tale of the tape, right? And so with what Powerpuff Girls were able to show us there in the last 2 maps, they do have a lot to play with. Again, Casino is one of the standout players so far for us, but again, it's about enabling the rest of the team. So who knows like how much more damage was being done by the Pale Rider, everyone else that's contributing to create the openings for the Dom to play as free as possible. So this is a rematch that I'm definitely looking forward to here in the losers semifinals. One more match, and then I guess we're gonna have 2 matches tomorrow, the losers finals and then the grand finals, which will be a best of 5. So that one's going to be extremely fun to watch. But Inarizaki versus Powerpuff Girls right now, we are getting through the map bans. Let's go ahead and bring up the map overlay again, just to introduce to any new viewers that we might have in chat right now. There is a current map pool of 7 maps. Each side will ban out 1 before going for the picks. Since this is a best of 3, we're going to go through those first 2 picks. And if it comes down to that final map, there will be another rotation of bans and then the pick of the final one. Those are our 7 maps down there. Flak Fort, we've got Underground Command Center, which we just saw, Thermal Plants, Mountain R&D, Quarry, Ministry of Defense, and Harbor City. And those are the last 2 maps that we have not seen throughout our matches today.
I want to see some Harbor City. Show it to me, teams. I don't know if they want to play it, but I want to see it. No, I'm really happy because the previous tournaments that I think a lot of people have been running haven't gone into map bans and picks, just because again the game is so new. Everybody's trying to figure out what to do, and it's really cool that we're starting to see like people get more comfortable as far as running tournaments and going into map bans and picks. And it seems like the system has worked out really well today. I've been seeing some positive reception. I'm really curious what all the teams think, but I love the fact that all the people behind the Gundam Evolution Newtype League have been taking, they're doing a lot of surveys and seeing what people think and then trying things out. And again, thanks to everybody for like just sticking with us. I'm hoping we're really enjoying all of this. Shout outs to the production who's been working really hard going between Discord views to make sure that we get our POVs for everything. There's a lot to, do for these broadcasts, but I think everybody deserves to see some really sick Gundam action, which is what we've been seeing all day. So huge shout outs to everybody who made it possible. But yeah, we've got these 7 maps and potentially banned. And also, we really got to think about that. We'll talk about it more tomorrow, but in the 3 out of 5, there's going to be more maps played. So we might see further into the map pool. It seems like it's mostly been Flak Fort.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's necessary, right? When there's a total pool of 10, 11 maps, having teams having to practice all of it, it becomes so stressful. In Counter-Strike and other games that have a lot more maps in play, that they do end up doing that rotation for a competitive season. So I'm glad that we're already doing that early on. Here is the bracket. We saw Inarizaki getting knocked down by Team Bozos early on. For that 2-0, the Judo Practitioners and the Gundam Unicorn match, that was our first one that we had on stream, and that one was a pretty big eye-opener. I thought Judo Practitioners might have a little bit more in the tank, but Gundam Unicorn kind of ran through things.
Yeah, Gundam Unicorn is actually kind of the biggest question mark for me because we've seen them against some teams that I don't want to say that they like kind of outclassed them, but they definitely had like a big advantage just going in as far as their teamwork and stuff. And we haven't seen them run into the other like really strong teams yet, but clearly they're one of the really strong teams themselves. So I'm just really curious as how that's going to play out in the winners finals, the upper bracket finals tomorrow. But down below, Inarizaki Powerpuff Girls run back, our first run back of the tournament, and probably the most interesting run back that I could have asked for. And we're already getting it in the losers semifinals. So I'm very, very excited to see this one.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if we can figure out what maps were played for that one, but it's not something that's currently coming up on the Matcherino. But speaking of Matcherino, if you guys want to contribute to the prize pool, we got over $500 before last match, and if you want to contribute as well, just go ahead and head on over to Matcherino. Go ahead and claim your code to contribute. Every little bit helps, of course, for our players that are trying to make something of this game, of this scene. This is the beginning stages of competitive for Gundam Evolution, and your support here will make a world of difference. So shout out to everyone that helped us out, Blood, along with Satoras, who were major contributors for this first tournament, helping us get up to the 500 as well. So thank you all so much. Right now, though, we are still waiting on the bands, but it looks like actually the first bands came in. So it's going to be Underground Command Center along with Quarry getting taken out. So two of our destruction maps going down first.
Yeah, we've seen a decent amount of Underground Command Center banned. And like I mentioned, like, I don't know, 20 seconds ago, this is the first time that I've seen bans for maps and bans and picks in this game. So I was really curious what we were going to see mostly banned today. We've seen a lot of Underground Command Center and a lot of Thermal Plant. Now, I understand Thermal Plant because it's chaotic, but I'm surprised that we're seeing so much Underground Command Center. I'd love to know from some of the good players why it's being banned so much. If anybody wants to let me know, please let me just, I don't know, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up. I'm in the Twitch chat right now, but we're not seeing a whole lot of that. We did see it played throughout the day. None of the maps that we've seen banned have we not seen played. I know that was said terribly, but every map that's been banned has also been played. The other maps that we haven't seen banned or played are Ministry of Defense and Harbor City. So nobody's just touching those at the moment, but I want to see at least one. Come on, somebody's got to have the ultimate Harbor City tech. Show off your sniper skills, show off your flyer skills, give me something.
Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of want to avoid Harbor City because it's one of the more linear maps, especially when it comes to point B. There are very few avenue and routes to try and catch a flank. It becomes incredibly difficult. Sniper does have a lot of free reign on either side for offense and defense. And it can come down to just who has the better sniper at that point. But maybe we'll see that tomorrow. Today, though, we will be seeing Flak Fort as our first pick. And it's going to be Powerpuff deciding to start on the defense here for this match. And we got to see a very strong defensive hold coming out from them on point A when we saw it a little bit earlier today.
Yeah, this is, again, it's a map that I think Dom it does exceptionally well on, especially in that building in the very first point for the waypoint. It just is able to control so many spots with mines and just get really good angles from above where you can't really challenge it super effectively. But pretty much everywhere on this map, I feel like Dom does really well, so we'll see if that continues to happen again. Of course, there's good Dom players on both sides, both of these teams, and it does look like they are immediately getting started. We are going to see on one side, we're going to see the Methis come out, and we're going to see an Ashmar as well. You were talking about how there are technically some flex picks, kind of. The Ashmar is going to be one.
Yeah, Ashmar's great here. You talked about it before, the flying types having so much mobility, especially on point B, the way that you can play around, playing basically on point and off point extremely fast. It's so strong. But when it comes down to point A, his Thermite is just so powerful here, being able to control the chokes. We're going to see, of course, that defensive setup coming out from the Powerpuff Girls here. Pale Rider actually starting off, I believe, on the right-hand height. But for Inarizaki, he will be going with, it looks like a very similar composition, actually the exact same composition, if I'm correct here.
Yeah, I think you're right. It is actually exactly the mirror, and it makes a lot of sense. I'm a big Ashmar fan. That might be my most used suit. I'd have to go back and look, but it's just so good in so many different situations, and especially when you're fighting indoors in that first building, the ability to just do so much damage with a Thermite, like you said, is just invaluable.
Yeah, they are going to go ahead and not challenge for the bridge just in case swooping around. They have the options. They want to go mid, right, or to the left-hand side. They do have one feigning to try and go with the left, at least challenge that. That's Sazabi on his own. The Dom Trooper is going to go ahead and join him here. So double bruise is going up top. But the bulk of the army for Inarizaki is already back here. One pickoff already onto Batty, but it's a 1-for-1 exchange, and it's the Dom going down. Casino is still up here for the Powerpuff Girls trying to challenge for that Exia now. Will be forced back, waiting on that health pack. You can hear the charge up, leaving them a little bit suspicious, but the res is there for the offense, getting a little bit more here on the exchange.
Oh yeah, Casino doing so much damage, but it's going to be tough to finish off everybody that's here. Yeah, it just needs a little bit more damage for a lot of them. You can see them surviving at just about 1 HP. They're going to have a Dom duel up on the second floor.
I think Casino came out on top on that one, still maintaining height, but that's going to be 2 ticks coming in now for Inarizaki here, and they force back the rest. Casino has fallen. You can see the retreat coming out from the defense here. They might be able to pick up one more, as Casino will fall. And so that's going to be point A going the way of Inarizaki. And now we need very strong point B hold. It's going to be just over 6.5 minutes now for Inarizaki to get onto point B.
Yeah, this is, I mean, we saw this before, but really from the other direction, right? This is what we saw from the Powerpuff Girls, but with such similar comps, it's going to be tough for anybody to find any particular advantage over each other. But wow, yeah, what a great flank, landing so many hits. That's going to be Glitch, of course, on the Exia, well known for being quite strong. But yeah, that's just making them immediately go back and say, hey, somebody's on point. I need to stop holding the choke point that I'm holding, and we need to just fight on point is huge on this map.
Oh boy, Casino does end up picking up the pack before he goes in for that Screaming Nimbus. He's going to pick up one more, I believe, packing up him up into the corner there before he ultimately goes down. But the res will come in onto that Pale Rider for the offense, for them to push up. They clean up one more. Now the high ground control comes out for Inarizaki. Defense are going to have their work cut out for them. First tick about to come in.
Getting knocked off of the high ground, that's actually kind of scary. Yeah, only having one dash, you need to stay at very specific ranges with Dom. It's got such unique mobility. Of course, it holds that sliding momentum, but you can't quickly dash twice to get around corners. But wow, look at this. Ashamar getting ulted, I think, by the Methis and on fire, and has punch of its own, just in case it needs to push somebody else off point. But that seems like it's going to be a pretty strong clear. And Powerpuff Girls kind of getting their first, I guess, pushback throughout the entire game. Seems like they were kind of on their back foot, but if they can hold here for 5 more minutes, which is a very difficult thing to do, they can do it.
Yeah, we'll see though. They do have some great stalling ultimates. There's the Ashamar punch coming in, but they don't get the finish off onto the Dom actually. Batty's the one that goes down. The exchange, it looks like 2 for 1. Now the offense starting to push up. Inarizaki finding a few more picks on the way in. Kaiser goes down. They got the res onto Batty. Now they are onto the point. They haven't quite established themselves on the high ground quite yet. And so they are taking their time moving in, healing up with that Methis first. And they've got the Screaming Nimbus this time around for this push.
Oh yeah, this is one of the best sites, in my opinion, in the game for Screaming Nimbus. It pushes so many people off site. You have perfectly enough space to turn around over and over and over, but you just got to find, of course, that right moment. And it looks like it might be soon if they can get one pick. But ooh, actually, almost got to pick the other direction. This Ashamar has been doing a lot of work holding these spots.
Yeah, he's got the rest of his squad on the high ground as well. They find one more pick onto that Pale Rider, forcing them back. So Powerpuff Girls with a little bit more defense here on point B, actually burning down the clock down to 4 minutes here, but the Ashmar getting challenged now, and he will be able to survive up against that Exia. Really had no escape, so that was just a good stagger coming out from Powerpuff Girls, just holding on to him, while the rest of Inarizaki now finally take height. They need to wait things out though, but they're maintaining this position on height is going to be incredibly important. You can see now the Pale Rider getting challenged. Ashmar doesn't have his transform quite yet, but he can go back up with that Molly for his squad. And here it is, the Screaming Nimbus coming on in. They find one pick, might be able to get a second one here, forcing them all the way back.
Yeah, and just splitting up the team, even if it was only one pick, that's going to be a very, very obnoxious thing to deal with. To maybe at least let the offense get one tick. You know, one permanent tick is something. It's not what you want, but when you've got 3 minutes left, anything that you want is a lot. And right now, it's going to be a lot more than that. It's going to be 2 ticks at least. It's continuing to go up and up. It's kind of hard to see how many people are down, but yeah, another person on the defense going down. This might be the full thing here. It looks like they're stopping a little bit.
Ooh, another punch coming in. It looked like coming out from that Ashamar. G maneuver used, but they're starting to lose out, unfortunately, here, as it will be Inarizaki taking point B with a good amount of time left on their clock. What, around, I think, 2.5, maybe even 3 minutes?
Yeah, just about that. I think maybe just under 3 minutes. Yeah, 2:47. So that was, I mean, just based on the fact that they took that first point so quickly, things were going to be pretty good for them probably. But it all really came down, honestly, that one Screaming Nimbus that was on a really weird position up on that like ramp. I feel like that split up the defensive team and got a pick, and then the entire team just took advantage of that so well for Inarizaki. So it just takes one, just takes one good spot, especially on that B site on Flak Fort. It is once people get embedded in that site, the defense just has such a problem trying to get back in, and it's totally understandable.
Yeah, I mean, they're just, even though you have multiple options to try and go for that retake, try to come back in for a defensive push, they're all, 4, 5 really small choke points. And we're seeing how big the Dom spam is coming in just to control those. You don't even really need to aim. You just need to fire in that general direction, and you put fear into people's hearts at that point. But you saw that both sides really did try to prioritize that high ground. Our Pale Riders, I don't think they were as important here in these matches. It came down to a lot of the Ashamar and the Dom, once again, play coming out from either side. But the Pale Rider is still there. They contribute. They're the consistent damage. They're the ones that are getting people into the critical range to finish off.
Yeah, these teams have a lot of AoE damage, right? I mean, you've got the fire from the Ashamar, you've got the blast shot from the Methis, you've got everything that Dom does, basically. So when you got all that AoE, oftentimes you leave people very, very low, and it really takes like a good aim, like Pale Rider or some other sort of just like aiming-centric suit to finish things off, and that is extremely important to have. Otherwise, people just survive, and you just wasted all your damage, and then people pushing on you.
Yeah, Inarizaki get the free scan in, but it's going to be a very similar approach now. You can see that they will try and go for that high ground push, try to maintain position here for the Pale Rider to get a high ground of his own, but a nice Thermite in there will go ahead and do a lot of damage. They do have the Methis to top themselves off now, but the Powerpuff Girls try to push forward. They don't quite have their Sazabi here for them. A flank coming out from both Zeros and Daddy to try and get into the back line.
Just see everybody flying over the building. Yeah, no, I really like that. Ashamar showing how much value you can have on this map on pretty much every single point. But it wasn't really quite able to flank behind the Sazabi. It was still shooting into its shield. And so, wow, they're actually chasing the Ashamar all the way over the building. That was kind of scary. But yeah, they're just not finding a good pick to start entering this building, right? They have their Sazabi, but it's just not enough to just hide behind it when there's that much firepower on the other team.
Yeah. As you can see, they're still trying to find an opening here on the high ground, but on the other side, for Inarizaki, they're more than okay with just playing off the neutral here and try to maintain that dominant position. They are first on the point, though, and 36 HP. He's actually going to kill himself. Casino, who was our huge MVP in our last match, just not able to find the same value that he has so far. This time around, you can see now the rest of the Inarizaki squad. They do back away as they lose out on a few, and it's going to be Batty this time, actually, dishing out a lot of damage. He's got the heal as well to play off that Pale Rider. Now they are forcing back Inarizaki.
Yeah, this Ashamar play has been really strong this entire set, but this is going to be there's going to be a lot of time, actually. I'm really curious. This just feels like there's a lot of time on this map in general. I'm curious, like, how... I don't know. I wonder what your maximum time that you can get is here. We generally don't see that on like the tie situations, but we'll see. Because honestly, this push, if it goes just like the push on A, we could see a really high amount of time, and then you get bonus, right? Because the first one's a checkpoint. No, it's not a checkpoint. Sorry, I'm kind of talking to myself at this point. I'm curious in competitive play how this all works, but right now this is a great push.
Ooh, the Ashamar actually goes down. He does have that right click to try and get the confirm onto that unit, but no, he ends up overextending. Kylor gets the res to bring his Ashamar player back on in. 5 minutes 15 seconds here remaining now for the offense to try and push up. The defense do have to pull back just a bit. Their Dom is a little bit low. Now the push out from the right-hand side. Kyros is going to be able to punish as they get the kill onto 2. Now charging forward. Again, that Dom still not fully healed up. Still contributing to this fight.
Yeah, and I mean, it just got so much health that even when it is at pretty low percentage, it still like can withstand some random shots. It's so scary. Wow. Did somebody resing that? Yeah, okay. Just the good comms right there. He just walked past his teammate. And those mines, yeah, the mines, there's so many corners to turn on this level. It's weird because you'd expect it from more indoor levels, but ooh, wow, that was a chunk of damage.
Yeah, it's going to be a full swing around from the Powerpuff Girls to try and come in for the right-hand side, but again, they're just playing into a choke. They do find one onto Listic, but the Screaming Nimbus is going to be used from either side. The rest still goes down, though, bringing him back in. Now, they don't really get much value off of that through the Powerpuff Girls. The Hades has been used from Inarizaki here, and again, they're just playing right into this funnel. That's going to allow the Exia to come in, pick one more up. Cena going down, and that's going to be the offense forced back once more.
Oof, yeah. Lexia actually taking, I think, 2.5 people down right there. That was a really nice time to come in. And they all got kind of trapped right there on this side of Powerpuff Girls. They got kind of trapped in that like side cave, which is really unfortunate. Again, you know, with the fact that they're like the same comps, there's just so much AoE damage on both sides. Like stacking on this map against either of these teams is going to be probably a big mistake. And we got to see it right there. When one big dash attack takes down 2 people with an Exia, that's probably not a good thing.
Powerpuff Girls really having a difficult time now trying to find an opening here, but hey, that's going to be 2 knocks coming out as they might be able to actually push the advantage. They try to go for the res, but no, from behind they find it. There it is, Trans Am being utilized from Inarizaki to pick up one more. They'll see if they can stagger just a little bit, try and bleed out the timers even more. That Trans Am getting so much for them. The Dom players once more coming in huge. For Inarizaki, 3 minutes now remaining for the Powerpuff Girls. They haven't even been able to touch point B quite yet.
Yeah, this is not going super well for them. I mean, of course, 3 minutes is more than enough time to make it happen, but like you mentioned before, there was a ton of time left, just about the amount of time that's like left right now for Inarizaki when they took that first point. So they're gonna have a huge advantage basically no matter what. Even if they were to move forward, if Powerpuff Girls would move forward and take this right now with this push, it would be tough to fight back from. But okay, they managed to get 2 picks, I think.
Yeah, it's gonna be 2 picks, but Listic has gone down. Ashmar getting the res onto him, bringing him back up, but there's one more for Zeros to pick up. He does trade his life for it, and that might allow Powerpuff Girls possibly to come back in. No, they're going to retreat from this one. Now we're down to 2 minutes and 18 seconds. They have banked up a lot of G maneuvers here, though. They've got the Ashmar punch, they've got the Hades, along with the energy cable and that Trans Am. They've got to be careful about not blowing this too much because, again, if they're going to utilize G maneuvers, it's just to break the hold, and now they still need to get on point. They've already used 2. There's a 3rd one going in. Are they getting the value? No, they are not. Inarizaki just shut down a 3 G maneuver push with their Hades.
That was almost an entire team wipe from the Pale Rider on Inarizaki's side. They used the counter Hades. They took down 5 people. That was the exact time to use that Hades. That was like the most valuable Hades of all time. And yeah, this is looking really tough. 1:30 left. Only the Screaming Nimbus up. Yeah, realistically, no chance of any other G maneuver. They got to make a miracle push.
Screaming Nimbus is the last thing they can rely upon. They do find one at the very least, but they need to find a little bit more here. The run back comes in from the defensive side. Another pick, though, onto it, but the Trans Am, they've got the first 2 going down, and now this could be the end because we know how long these fights can take. If they try to go for a reset, they need to go for a reset right now. They are getting challenged here on the height, trying to back away. 115, he will go down to the mine, actually dropping down into it, but it does seem like the Metis will be able to get the heal and the res and the defense reestablish themselves back on to this choke now, forcing back the Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, this is rough. They're getting staggered with only 40 seconds left. This is not the shortest run for a point, so they are going to have realistically 1 strong push left, if even that. Look, they're still waiting for people to get back. 30 seconds. They need to move in. They need to break past his first choke point that they couldn't even break past with basically 4 G maneuvers, and then they need to get on point. 23 seconds left. They do have the mobility to seek somebody behind, but I don't know if they want to use that right away and split their team up. But oh, this is the turret got 2 kills. The turret got 2 kills from Memphis.
Yeah, set up though expertly by that Ashmar punch, who was just waiting around the corner that entire time. They're not even getting another opportunity to touch the point. That's going to be Inarizaki taking Flak Fort in a 2-1 hold.
And you were talking about how much damage the supports in this game can do. That was 2 kills with the turret and 2 kills normally from the Methus in that final team fight. Like, you can still do so much damage while supporting your team. But wow, yeah, that was very strong play all together from Inarizaki. I can see, of course, we see the MVP from Listic right there. Gotta be the MVP with that 5-person kill to counter 4 G maneuvers with 1 Hades. That is exactly what you want to see. But yeah, for sure, I can see how Inarizaki had the heads up slightly in the matchup when they played before. It just seems like the fact that they're playing very similar, in my opinion, very similar styles and exactly similar teams, it only takes like one slight advantage, right? If one person is just slightly better at their role than the other team, then that can just like turn everything on its side, right? Because then you don't have any unique strengths to try to take advantage of against that team. It's just literally you're getting outclassed. So it's not to say that they were, I mean, they were very close, right? As far as skill, they were both playing extremely well, both teams, but you can tell that in that situation, one slight advantage was all it took for Inarizaki to really just hold down the fort, literally.
And then that was an amazing hold. That does mean we'll be moving on to our next map, which will be, well, you got your wish. It's going to be Harbor City.
I know.
And we are now just waiting for the picks, or excuse me, sides to be chosen. But this is going to be great because, again, we haven't seen that much GM Sniper. We saw a little bit of it when we were on Quarry, I believe, earlier today, but it was a really, really fast swap off, if anything, to go back to basically standard meta composition. But here on Harbor City, this is where you get a lot more sidelines, especially on point A, a lot more value.
Yeah, I'm really surprised we haven't seen more sniper in general, just at like the start of games. But especially, I mean, too, when this last patch came out, everybody was like, why would you give sniper? I mean, you know, they were complaining, of course, because people do that. But like, why would you give sniper more bullets? Like, that's ridiculous. And then now we're in this tournament and we've seen like no snipers, which is pretty funny to me. And I'm surprised because I think snipers, of course, extremely strong in a lot of specific situations. But I really have to expect, like you said, on Harbor. For anybody who hasn't played Harbor, it is the most like long one like path. I mean, technically one path, right? Like technically you can go around buildings slightly, but you can kind of see over them as well. So this is just really long pathway that you have to get to the first point. And then there's this weird choke point on the second point. And there's a reason why we don't really see too many teams play this. A lot of teams don't really, they're not a big fan of trying to fight, especially through that second point, more so than anything else. That second choke point is tough, especially now that we don't have Zaku 2. Zaku 2 ult is a really great way of pushing through that choke point. We don't really have that option now because, you know, Zaku 2 is currently not in this tournament. So I'm curious as to who actually decided to play Harbor and what their confidence level is playing Harbor. But hey, I love to see it. I think personally, this is my favorite map visually.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. I love kind of the urban, I would say, fighting environment on point A. I you know, typically don't get to explore it as much in your matchmaking because it's simply as like if you're on attack, you get your pick with sniper and then you push on to point. That's it, right? That's the end of the first half of that map. But on defense, playing around the cityscape on point A is actually extremely fun. Particularly as Gym Sniper, because you get to find so many different angles. There are a lot of nooks and crannies, and I think a lot of people don't even realize how many health packs there are actually around that city. There's quite a few for you to play off of, so it can be extremely fun. In particular, it kind of reminds me of one of my favorite Gundams is 08th MS Team, and I always think back to that Goof custom taking out the 3 gun tanks, that entire battle, that scene when we get to this map.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of like Earth, like ground battles, if that makes sense. I'm also a big 8th MS Team fan for that reason. So that's why I really like maps like this. I know there's like similar maps too, and like I have some friends that play like Gundam Versus, like Max Boost on and stuff. And there's a lot of similar maps in that. I always thought they were super cool. So I was glad that we got this map in particular. I know there's a lot of like, I mean, I like a lot of the map designs, but I just love fighting in a city. It really makes you feel like, oh yeah, that's right. Like I'm in a Gundam right now. That's freaking sick.
Yeah, it gives you more of the scope, right? I know in Spawn you have like, you know, the scaffolding and the little cars there that kind of help you with it, but when you realize like, oh yeah, these are like 14-story high buildings and stuff that you're actually fighting around, it does give you a better idea of the scope instead of like, yeah, that could be a realistic hill that I could climb myself, you know, instead of like a mountain on like underground command center. But yeah, Harbor is going to be our next map. It's going to be Inarizaki actually starting it off on the offense here. Again, I'm really excited. I just want to see some sniper battles. And I think one of the things that the reason why we're not kind of seeing it as much here so far in competitive play is just that, teams are a little bit better about kind of covering their angles, not going for the cheeky peeks. In matchmaking, you get away with a lot as sniper. I mean, people make mistakes often, and so sniper gets a lot more value in matchmaking, especially in the lower ranks where people think they can just freely go for peaks. And you have to remember, there's no crouching in Gundam, so lining up the headshots is so much easier in Gundam than in any other game. So snipers have, I would say, one of the easier jobs when it comes to this game in particular as a sniper.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When I solo queue, first I'm gonna preface this by saying my aim is terrible. I am just not good at aiming. It's unfortunate. It's just how it is. I'm too old to learn new things. But I get so much mileage out of Gym Sniper, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm getting so many kills here. These teams just not playing around me at all. They are just peeking constantly. I'm like, I shouldn't be getting this many chances to headshot them. But yeah, it's this is the most fun map to do that on for sure. When I'm only in like plat still, but even in plat, people are just like, they don't play around it. It's very funny.
Yeah, it does sound like we are loaded into game, so we'll get in there fairly shortly. Now, this is going to be interesting about how teams hold because we don't get to see as much or we haven't been able to see any of it throughout our matches today. Typically, it's going to be holding that first corner, but how I've been seeing in scrims is that teams play a little bit further back, not on that corner, playing maybe around if you're looking at it from the defender side, more on the right side, but it is Inarizaki starting it off as the offense. It does seem like, what are they trading off for that GM sniper? Well, they are at least picking it up.
It looks like they do not have the Pale Rider. So I'm assuming it's going to be their Pale Rider player that's just really good at clicking heads, right? Mm-hmm. The skill transfers over, and it looks like on the other side we're actually going to have the Pale Rider and the Sniper, which I feel like that does actually make a lot of sense, and we are going to lose the Methus instead.
Yeah, I think Methus just leaves himself too vulnerable. I mean, we still have a lot of mobile suits here that are within that one-shot range, right? 1100 hit to the head coming out from the Gym Sniper, but still, I don't think Methus can get as much value here. Your turrets don't work out quite as well, even though there's a lot of corners to play off of. But here it is, Inarizaki making their first solid push. They've got the highway tunnel out now. You can see the challenge coming out, but it's going to be the first knock. They got right on it. Top of Sniper, took him out, and that is going to be a free opening for Inarizaki to start pushing in.
Yeah, this is now 2 downs. This is a ridiculously long run back, by the way, on defense to get to A. So I'm going to have to assume this is immediately going to be a successful push to A. We didn't get to see the snipe quite as much. Now, of course, we want to see the snipes, right? It's a lot of fun. But realistically, the biggest question here is how are these teams going to deal with this choke point going into B? It's right behind them. This is going to be one of the toughest spots, probably in the entire game, to actually push through. And we do see a lot of, for instance, like Unicorn to try to push through it. We see a lot of different strategies. I'm curious what it's going to be. Currently, there are 2 ticks on point A, but they're actually kind of holding.
Yeah, that's going to allow them to come back as a full 6.
Yeah.
Find 1 pick onto that Sniper and the Suzabi down. They are trading back at the very least. It looks like they were forced back onto this mini health pack, and now you can see the Dom trying his best to survive, but he will ultimately go down. So the retake actually comes out here from the defense. It's only 2 ticks picked up now from Inarizaki.
Yeah, I was apparently way too early to assume that was going to be successful. Like I said, the run back is really long. Now, if you're like an Ashmar that goes down or something, you have a little bit, or a Methus, right? You have a little bit more time to come back. And it looks like we do actually see a Methus. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The Methus was on offense. I was looking at the wrong side. So I'm surprised that they managed to make it back in time, but it does look like the push, again, will work. And they're just going to abandon it. You can see everybody just flying back. You do not want to commit too much and give up that choke point. You want 100% to hold this choke point.
But it looks like they will actually get caught. That's going to be 1 going down. 1 more, possibly. It is the Ashmar falling in. Oh no, Casino was caught off guard too. So now only 3 members up, but they're in the middle of the rest of the team here. It's going to be a full 6-man push onto the point. No one goes down here for Inarizaki.
Wow, yeah. Everything that I've said has just like not happened in this match. That's pretty surprising. Now, if the team actually manages to push on point here, it can be very, very hard to take it back as defense because you only have 1 pathway back. You only have to take that bridge from your spawn. So it doesn't seem like they've quite been able to hold on to that exact angle. And in fact, yeah, look, they managed to come back just in time. Inarizaki not quite able to to get what they wanted out of that. Or wait, sorry, do I have it backwards? Inarizaki's on offense. Yes, that was them. Okay.
Yeah, Powerpuff Girls are able to force them back onto this choke. We do have that Ashmar punch ready, along with that Screaming Nimbus for them. The Hades is available too for this hold, but they have given up space once more. They are forced back. You can see Sniper is on the low ground. He's not playing off height right now, trying to take that 1v1 challenge up against the Snipers themselves. They are doing a good job, though, playing around sight lines, but again, you're still vulnerable here in this right side alley as everyone is just scrambling to try and pick up heals for themselves.
Yeah, side thing to pay attention to here, especially when you've got so many Ashmars, is that punch can instant kill people because there's so much space to knock people off of the level and this entire area. So you have to really be careful of that. I've seen, 3 or 4 people knocked off the side at the same exact time. Same thing with Screaming Nimbus. Look at this. You got to avoid it. Yeah, it's like, no, leave me alone. Whoa, almost fell in the pit.
Yeah, I've fell prey to that quite often now, but that's going to be the push now for Inarizaki. I don't think they lost anyone really on that push, and so they have everyone here, but the Ashmar punch has been used just to try and delay on the point. That's going to be the second tick now coming in for Inarizaki as they clean up one more, and the staggered push is coming out from Powerpuff Girls, getting absolutely punished. Inarizaki almost on the verge of taking this point with 4 minutes remaining now as the rest of the defense is here. We do have a few cleanups coming in now. Zero's picking up one more, and the defense will hold. Will they deny the third tick? They do, forcing back Inarizaki despite actually losing out on a few on that scramble.
Yeah, that was such a perfect example of the combo that is Exia with the armor from the Dom. The Dom's armor gun on Exia makes Exia so hard to kill. Already, it's a slippery target, but giving it that extra health that's like, I mean, it's already a high percentage of its health that it's giving extra. It becomes like this 2-man just killing squad. It's ridiculous, but oh, that was a nice chunk directly on the legs, getting all that AoE damage. They're gonna get a res as well. From 2 times that it seemed like Inarizaki was gonna be able to really hold that point B, they have been pushed back again to the choke point.
Ooh, and they are staggering. They almost pick up one more. Exia dropped down extremely low there, but they will back away. Once again, they haven't been able to establish the same kind of like dominant hold here. This is the choke that you were mentioning earlier on. You can see Dom getting some free damage, just spamming it, but the Gym Sniper comes in, picks off the Pale Rider.
Yeah, for as much as I've been overhyping this choke, they have just not been able to hold it. I like that the super far range armor gun. There might be a little bit of sneakiness going on. Be curious to see if that works out. You always got to be careful for that on defense. Anybody who's a flyer can get all the way back to the point, but ooh, okay, popping the ult. Just gonna mess with everybody in this choke point right here. Might get a knockoff potentially. Almost knocked over the entire map, the entire wall.
Yeah, that's a lot of ultimates being used, though. The G maneuvers being utilized from the defense. That was the Screaming Nimbus along with the Ashmar punch. Don't know if they committed any more to that. I believe the XEO might have been trying to get someone to come behind, but was not successful in that regard. And so it's a good hold so far for the Powerpuff Girls. And they've got 2 minutes now to bleed out on the Inarizaki side. And once again, we're playing off the neutral here, just playing off the choke. You can see going for the peaks now, as they don't have the same kind of like one-shot threat on the Inarizaki side, so they can play a little bit more free here on the choke.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, Dom is again just being an MVP here. Dom in that choke is just like, oh yeah, would you like it if I hit every single person on your team with every single one of my shots? How do you feel about that? It can be very rough, and we're seeing that exact thing. Plus on top of that, of course, just being a support at the same time. But wow, Screaming Nimbus going all the way, not actually hitting almost anybody. Okay, managed to hit somebody finally in the end, but this is going to be a really big push.
Ooh, it looks like there's going to be 2 more pickups for them, though. Only 1 exchange on the other side, as the Powerpuff Girls starting to eke out a small advantage. If they can get rid of the Sazabi, that'll start opening things up, and Zacius has gone down. They need to start getting these reses. They're not going to be able to stick that last one. There's the burn down, goes down once more. Now the defense scrambling. Third tick, was it stopped in time? It looks like they were able to put a stop to the take with just a sliver remaining. Their contested 3 members on will go ahead and secure that, but now they're eating into basically their final push. 50 seconds remaining. You can see the retreat now being called by Inarizaki, but they might lose out one here.
Yeah, I mean, getting that third tick is actually gigantic, right? I mean, this is going to be really tough. Like you said, 1 push left. They don't even have really that much time to let people come back and regroup. They've got to find the right moments. There are actually, well, on there's no ults on the side, no G maneuvers on the side of Powerpuff Girls, so we'll see how many there are on the side of Inarizaki. They could make this happen, especially if they can get some like really nice pick, maybe knock somebody off the level. I'm still waiting to see it, but they've only got 20 seconds left, and they're playing really reserved for 20 seconds. You feel like you got to move, and there we go. It's going to be X-Ray moving forward, and almost getting knocked off, but just getting knocked out of the game regardless.
They try to focus down Casino. They knew that he was close, and he does almost have, or actually had that Screaming Nimbus in play. They tried to focus him down, but they were just not fast enough on this one. So the defense will hold. The Powerpuff Girls had to work with, what, about 6 minutes to hold them here and only give up the 3 ticks. So a very nice defensive hold coming out from them. We didn't get to see as much coming out from the GM Sniper, but you know that he was getting continual, at least body shots in the 300, 350 or whatever. Does enough to at least slow things down.
Yeah, and honestly, that first point went so quickly, and they got on point so quickly that the sniper, we didn't even get that much time to actually realistically see the entire thing. I should say the entire potential that the sniper, Jim Sniper, has on this map. But yeah, that was a great hold. 3 ticks though, I mean, that's pretty much the maximum that you can you can get aside from actually just pulling it off. So I think honestly Inarizaki's probably not super unhappy with that. Obviously they would have liked to take it, but if they can play really strong defensively like we saw them do on the previous map, then this is going to be, I mean, not easy for sure. This is, I don't want to say like for sure it's like a defensive sided map, but of all the maps that I've seen, I think I've seen defense win out on this one more than pretty much any other map. And, there's a reason why a lot of teams don't pick this. But now we'll see if we actually get some sniper play instead of one of the snipers just immediately getting murked.
Yeah, for Powerpuff Girls, it's going to be quite offensive composition coming out for them. They've got the sniper, but they've got a secondary sniper in turn A. Of course, they have the Exia and then the Pale Rider. So it's going to be about a lot of damage just to try and open things up. And I kind of agree with that. You don't need that kind of same, tank front line. You're not playing into the traditional chokes that you do on other maps here. So you have a lot more freedom in what you want to run for your first offense. I think, though, once we get to point B, we might see a little bit more sturdiness in their compositions. Right now, though, for Inarizaki on their defensive hold, they are playing this one a little bit further back from that corner. Fairly similar to how Powerpuff Girls did that. You can see peeking around that corner, you take so much damage. They don't have the same heals. Oh, there's the knock coming out from Listic onto Casino, who is on that turn A, but they will be able to res him up. We'll see, though, now taken to the skies once again, but he gets challenged. The sniper is ready for that peak.
Yeah, honestly, oh my gosh, very nice. Oh, it was the mines. It was the mines. We saw them being dropped on the health kit earlier, and I forgot about them. So I for sure would have died in that exact same situation. But that is exactly how you want to use them. That was hilarious. We got to see both sides of the interaction.
Yeah, you can see why teams like to hold here. You don't have to challenge that corner. You put yourself out of the sightline of the sniper. You basically drop down their effectiveness quite a bit. You can see Sazabi not really doing much in this composition except for just getting some free scans off. And so I think the Sazabi is just playing as like a fallback position. If your DPS takes a little bit too much damage, Sazabi just holds the line here. You're able to bounce back, bounce behind these buildings, and then all of a sudden surprise Sazabi with the shotgun in your face. He gets another great scan onto the Powerpuff side, and there's a pickoff somehow coming out from the Exia.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, Exia really strong at this point too, right? Zero fall off. Zero fall off. Always remember that for everybody out there. Exia is secretly a sniper. But wow. Okay. Wow. There's a lot of damage. This defense is being held really well. I'm not sure who's on their sniper, but they are hitting a lot of shots. You can tell, even if it's just body shots sometimes. But we see them actually no, the offensive sniper this time for Powerpuff Girls getting a pick, and that's their cue to run in. Let's see if it works.
Yeah, they were able to pick up 2, and Devotion finds 1 more there onto Kylar. So that's the healing cut now, clearing out that chirp before they start making a push for the points. And while they should be able to get this one and onto the Sazabi, who kites around that stun, it's just not enough. They're able to back off, and Zacius will go down for it, but he should be able to get back before any kind of retake possibility. So now with a 3rd tick coming on in, they are getting challenged. Devotion will go down. Exia doing his job, getting into the back line, and somehow in this 5v5 fight, it's going to be an excellent retake coming out from Inarizaki.
Ooh, and yeah, this is that was our first chance to really see Casino on the turn A. Unfortunately, a lot of situations just didn't quite work out for him. The grab not quite catching anybody. Wow, just look at this. Immediately pushed all the way back on defense, and Inarizaki's like, nope, we are just restarting this game basically with 2 minutes left. I don't care that you're at 3 ticks. We are just standing here again. And yeah, look at that, just pre-firing with the Dom, saying, I don't care, walking into these bullets.
Yeah, I mean, he eats what, 1 dagger, and that's it. He does have the health pack to play off of at the very least, but ooh, another shot to the head there from that turn A. Our sniper is actually just trading kills for now. But oh my goodness, this Dom backs away. He does have a health pack to play off of, but he's actually not pathing for it, and he will fall. And it looks like the offense might have an opening here, but again, they are lower on time overall in how point A was taken for Inarizaki with 1:30 remaining. We'll get, of course, what, 3-4 minutes? I forget exactly how many you get once you capture the points. Turn A Gundam has his butterfly ready to go, but he doesn't need to quite use it. We'll go ahead just in case. He'll have time to try and build that one up as he clears out 2. They find 2 more picks here. So they're not going to risk anything at all whatsoever. They've got the huge man advantage, and now he gets one last overhead throw to finish them off. They will secure that point, and now they've got 4 minutes to work with to try and get 78.7% on the board.
That was a really nice play, actually, from Casino. Nice to see, you know, something else aside from the Dom, but that worked out really well, getting just a bunch of kills all in a row. Now, they're already through the choke point, but they aren't at a comfortable spot yet. And yeah, this ult thing, literally, go back to that choke point, get in the corner. I love that little corner right there with the health pack, because people always get ulted into it, and it's like, yeah, put them in the corner.
Casino working at a deficit here, but I guess actually it makes sense why he went for that butterfly. It's the swap off on to that Dom for him. Even though they get the knock, I don't know if they can challenge it. Ooh, Ashmar punch to cancel it and finish him off. They need a little bit more on the follow through. Sazabi has gone down, and this is the opening for the Powerpuff Girls. If they can find a little bit more, but it looks like the reses are there. Inarizaki will stabilize and force them back. Transam is going to be utilized as well, and that just puts fear in the heart. It's only a 1-for-1 exchange, but that does allow them to start pushing up, get a little bit more.
Yeah, that was, I could definitely see the fear there from the Axia saying, okay, hold on, man, I don't want to get, you know, hit with the grab. That would be just an unfortunate end to my ult, but then they just ran away and it ended their ult anyway. So just the threat of the turn A can sometimes be as much as the actual effect of the turn A if they've got strong melee. All right, it looks like, oh wait, is that defense? Oh, that's offense. Okay, so we are going to see the Screaming Nimbus come out. Oh, once again, almost knocking somebody off the map. You know I'm just going to keep waiting for that. But barely alive there on the sniper still for... Oh, we actually see sniper still on both sides. Neither have switched off. That's kind of surprising to me.
Wait, Casino is actually still on that turn A, but this is going to be a difficult push. They're playing right into the funnels now. He does have, what, half of his shield still up and remaining. You got the Transab coming through now for Powerpuff Girls, who are on point. They're about to secure their first tick, second one coming out, and they have not traded back yet on the other side. Things are looking a little bit difficult. Devotion brought back into things. Turn A still up, does not have his nano skin quite yet, and he will fall, unfortunately. But Devotion is still finding picks on this sniper. The Pale Rider gets the heal down, but he can't get through this shield. And now the Powerpuff Girls are starting to get forced back. Inarizaki here, here with the retake.
Yeah, but that is a retake super close to just how much they need to actually win this. You know, this went from them not having very much time to now, I feel like 2 minutes is a lot of time because they just need to get one basically full tick on that bar. They just need to have one strong push, but I don't know if they can fight again, once again, through this choke point. I mean, I think I'd be scared of maybe like an Ashmar flying over at this point because all they need to do is just sneak a little bit in before anybody can actually kill them. So we're seeing the group together. We're seeing the potential to jump over here. I like the jump pad. Jump pad on sniper is very useful on this level in multiple situations, but they've got to find the push. They're not even going to go for potentially 2 pushes. I think they're just going to commit to one big final push.
Yeah, Casino's at 82% towards his G maneuver, so just a few more shots to connect and he can go for it. Are they going to go for a full team jump on over? They do get right on top of the dome, but he's not quite connecting with his shots yet. Ashmar will find one. That's going to be a second as well. Kaiser is the only one going down for that Powerpuff Girls side, but they have created a lot of space. Oh no, they're trades are going the opposite direction. Turn A will get the res now, and that's going to be Zacius back on up. Like we said, he's got the G maneuver available, and there it is, the butterfly now, with no one really challenging him. He hasn't taken any damage. He takes one knock before he gets sent back to the ground, and they are right back onto the point. He's got the nano skin popping the entire time as well, basically keeping him topped off, and they are dealing with the threats as they come, and the Powerpuff girls will go ahead and secure a win here on map number 2, sending us to our first map 3.
What a play. What a play. Can we just highlight that entire final push? The jump pad over 3 people, maybe 4 people getting over that wall, flank from the side. Everything's so perfectly coordinated right there. That was sick. That was for sure to me the play of the tournament. That was my ultimate highlight. That was so well executed, and they just needed to find that one final push. They had one opportunity, and they pulled that off at the perfect time with the perfect execution. That was godlike for sure. And yeah, now our first map 3, and I love to see it too, because, you know, honestly, I felt like Inarizaki had a real heads up in that first game, and in the second game now we can see definitely there's a fighting chance back. So now going to a game 3, our first game 3 finally. You want to talk about close games? That was sick. There was not a lot of time for them to do that too, and they just, oh my gosh, I am blown away by that play.
Importantly, I've making that jump with the sniper pad. There's a small window where you can mess it up, where you don't get over that wall if you don't use your boosters at the right time to float on over. So it could have gone bad for them, but they were able to execute extremely well with that, and they knew the timing. They had the turn A Gundam Ultimate coming up. The butterfly was there for them to finish things off. There was no one to challenge. I mean, we've seen in the past how Doms and Pale Riders have been able to deal with that turn A butterfly, but this time around, they find the opening, and they did a great job. Like you mentioned earlier on in the match as well, they brought it down. They got the first 2 ticks, and they brought it down to just 1 tick. That's all they needed to secure that one. So great push coming out from Powerpuff Girls. Now we're seeing our first map 3, I think, of the day. I'm going to double check the bracket, but I think that might be the first map 3 of the tournament. Double checking for now, and yeah, wow. It is our first map number 3.
Well, you know, I'm glad that it's here. I'm glad our final match of the day is going to be a close one. And oh my gosh, I'm still so, you know, the stream's on the 2-minute like delay. I'm actually like looking over right now because I'm trying to watch again that entire push. That's how good that was. But okay, we can actually take a look at the bracket and how many 2-0s there have been the entire day. There have been a lot of close 2-0s that we've watched, but this is going to be our first 2-1. Wow, it took until this long to get one, and it's in a run back that was a 2-0 before.
Yeah, and I mean, it looked like, you know, Inarizaki had pretty good time. Even though they came down to like 78.6, their pushes looked really good. I don't know, there were a few stalls that I found a little bit questionable. I think on point A, where they had gone the 2 ticks and slowed things down a bit. I don't know exactly what happened there. That could have been the difference maker overall, but again, this was extremely close, much closer than what we saw when we were on Flag Fort. Right now, we are, of course, waiting for the next round of bans. This is our first time where we get our second round of bans, and we are starting to dig deep now into the map pool.
Yeah, somebody is going to finally either ban or pick Ministry of Defense. It's guaranteed at this point, I think, right? Oh, wait, no, it's not, because they... No, wait. Yeah, no, pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it is at this point. Yeah, somebody's going to either ban it or pick it. I'm assuming it's probably going to be banned at this point. But we did see Harbor City, so I genuinely have no idea what could happen after this point. And I'm glad we saw like my favorite play of the entire day on Harbor City. So we got to see a little bit of almost everything. I would love to see Ministry of Defense at least once throughout this tournament. I would love if we got to see every map, but it's totally understandable if we don't. We do have, of course, still left Thorough Plant and Mountain R&D. Wow. Okay, so we got Thorough Plant and Mountain R&D Lab, of course, both the domination missions, which both can be very, very chaotic if either of these teams wants to go that route, or we could go to Ministry of Defense, which is going to be also very the opposite, right? Or well, no, not the opposite, really. Also chaotic. Realistically, it's all chaotic choices. Ministry of Defense, in case anybody's wondering why it hasn't been picked yet, the points are very strangely placed compared to, I think, a lot of the spawns. So, for example, even just the very first spawn that you have compared to the first points that you have to destroy, they're very, very close. You can run to them. There's a bunch of different angles to get to them. You can actually hold them really well as offense. We see a lot of people get very, very quick wins offensively there. And then the map completely completely changes to like a completely basically indoor fight once you get to the second point, and once people start pushing it there. It's just a very weird map that can be very chaotic, and there can be a lot of really quick team wipes because there's not a lot of these like kind of like long range, like you're trying to push down this site. It's just a lot of like flanks. It's almost very close to a destruction mission in my opinion, or sorry, not destruction, domination. So I don't know which one we're gonna get. Actually, we're not Ministry of Defense. I was not looking at the map list.
Yeah, and thermal plant has been banned out as well. It's going to come down to Mountain R&D. We got to see this earlier on, some Barbados play coming in for this one. We've even seen teams try their hands at Zaku range, which really not quite working out here. Zaku range is fantastic, especially when it comes to matchmaking. But when it comes to teams being able to coordinate and really call out threats to their back line, we saw how quickly teams are able to respond to it. So I kind of agree not going for that pick. We'll see if anything changes. But right now, I think the Pale Riders, we got to see that earlier on here on Mountain R&D. Definitely going to be a pick that comes on. And we'll see if maybe Sazabis are going to be played here as well. Again, I like that we currently have the Zaku melee banned out for this, because that's one where I don't like seeing the Zaku melee, because every point A, B, and C can just be won easily by a Zaku melee on his own.
Yes, this is, I mean, really, especially this map, Zaku Melee. I've actually run into some pre-mades on ranked that have run entirely flankers with Zaku Melee. This was actually pre-Zaku Melee nerf too. So they would run Zaku Melee, they'd run Exia, which of course, them together is always going to be really strong. But then on top of that, just the fact that you have to deal with them, I feel like that actually makes Zaku range stronger, because you can't really turn around if you're still dealing with the Zaku Melee in front. And then there's just there's teams that are entirely committed to that. It can be very, very scary. Obviously, you know, that's just rank stacks. That's not the level of competitive play that we're seeing here today. But yeah, it makes this a very different map, a completely different map, having Zaku 2 melee. But we did see this one time earlier today, like you said, and it was a little bit more controlled than we see, especially when the Zaku melees are here. So I don't expect that we're going to see anything too wild and out of the ordinary from what the teams have been picking earlier. Probably just their core stuff.
Yeah, don't really expect much at this point. Again, I like that we do have, like we said, the Zaku melee out. I think that does kind of open up the compositions, especially here on this point in particular. Teams can play the Ashmars if they want. We see how strong the Ashmar is when there's a lot of choke points available for squads. The Doms have been dominant regardless of the map. I don't think we've never seen a Dom-less composition. And then it kind of like comes down to like who wants to flex more support. Do we want some more Methus, or do we want a little bit more DPS, bringing in additional like a turn A or such? So this is going to be interesting to see. Right now, though, when it comes to just team fighting, it's so hard to call who really comes out on top, because again, we've had only linear maps in this series where it's teams just have to kind of go straight on in, straight up the gut. This is where positioning, flanking is going to be a lot more important.
Yeah, especially flanking. I mentioned this before when we were on this map before, but there are a bunch of ways to get to every single point from every other point on this map. So you can basically instantly go from A to C with realistically in like 5 seconds. Like, it's not even a joke. It's just so many clear paths. You can do it from above, you can do it from below. In the middle, you can basically jump over the big gaps. So this is going to be who is most ready for people appearing from the side, who is the most ready for the chaotic team fights. And just looking at this team comp to start off with, the one big change that we're seeing is the Unicorn, which makes a lot of sense. You know, it's going to be chaotic big team fights in close spaces. Unicorn MVP.
A little extra CC. You can at least try and disengage if a backliner gets in there with that, push them back, create a little space for your squad. And here we go. It's going to be point A, that first fight, that high ground we've seen so important. All the both sides are going to go ahead and try and focus that one down. You can see the Ashmar is huge for trying to deny that initial high ground, but the first pick comes out. That's going to be Casino going down, I believe. So that's a huge, crucial pick. They find one more, and they get a res. See if they can find a little bit more, but you can see that high ground control. That's all the fight is on this first fight.
Yeah. Sometimes you get some flankers that are coming from other directions, but this high ground is the most important thing. Realistically, for kind of either of these A or C sites, they're very similar. Just how you get to the high ground is slightly different, whether it's before or in front of the left wall. But yeah, now you can see they've kind of gotten their foothold in there, and then they're going to be really holding this forward position with the Sazabi. It becomes very hard to flank it if you control the high ground and the low ground.
already. 17% on the board here as Zacius actually goes down. So the Zabi front line gone. Now they're forced to reset, and that's basically half the time on point A already going. They do flip it, though, at the very least, and find a little bit more. Ooh, the Gundam Unicorn going down. We'll see if they get the res. No, denied. It was just a bait onto Casino.
Oh, yeah, that's always painful when you're like, res me, and then you get your teammate killed, and you're like, oh, sorry. But, yeah, this is starting to even up, which is good to see. I really want to see a really close third match here. I don't want to see any sweeps, and so far we're already pretty much guaranteed not to see a sweep. Ooh, I don't know if that was an attempt to go down all the way to the bottom. That might have been a little bit of a floating mistake, but you can land in the middle there.
Yeah, he will be able to rejoin with his squad, though there are multiple ways to get back on up. I don't think he's going to take the risky one whatsoever. To the skies does that Ashmar take now. But again, this high ground control, it is so crucial in these fights. Ashmar punch from behind, isolates out one, and they end up losing out on Zacius. Nox does give his life for it, but hey, Sazabi for an Ashmar, that's going to be a nice little trade for them.
Yeah, the Sazabi is such a unique tool on this map because there's like literally Sazabi-sized doorways. It feels like it's actually just made for that suit. Wow, gets clipped just barely. That should be a safe res. Kind of slid behind using that Dom momentum keeping, but this high ground still being completely controlled. Oh, this is a great way to fight off. Wow, great Dom shots, amazing Dom shots.
Yeah, this is a nice thing about Dom as well. I mean, you're able to secure a thirst from around the corner because of the splash damage. Only, what, 3 or 4 rockets need to make it without having to overextend for themselves. They get Devotion back on up, and now it's Powerpuff Girls about to take taking the lead here. Over 20%, X-Ray goes down, and this fight for the high ground is just not the same. You can see how much of a difference on the other side that Ashmar is making, consistently being able to go up top, being unchallenged because they don't have the same sightlines for their Pale Rider to really try and make sure that the skies are clear. But oh boy, overextended, does get back, does survive, and that's going to be an overextension on Zacius' side. That's going to be now an opportunity for Inarizaki to come in. Until that happens, the punch out, Batty finds one, and he does not secure the thirst onto X-Ray.
Yeah, this is going to be, I think, a really heavy deciding factor here. There is the potential for, I think with 67%, you can finish off the game if you, no, wait, no, not quite. I don't actually know what your maximum percentage is. I feel like an idiot not knowing that.
I think you can get off 1 point.
Okay, yeah, so for sure this could be it. B can be a very, very hard point to retake. Oh, just dropping down with the ult. That is going to hit several people and split up the entire team. CC them for a long time as the rest of your team moves in. And they got a lot. Oh, the Hades was activated as well. We couldn't quite see that in the background.
Ooh, we'll see, though. The Exia going in doesn't actually get finished onto that Dom, but Sazabi will follow it up. Casino has fallen here. So Inarizaki looking to try and even things up, but Powerpuff Girls are able to take the points now and secure themselves up to 93.5. So it's still going to come down to at least 1 more point here. I believe it actually might come down. Yeah, it's going to come down to this last point.
Yeah, I think it's just per second, right? So it's, yeah, honestly, let's see. We're going to A next. We're going back outside. Obviously, we have to go to one of the outside ones. I wonder, it looks like we are, actually already going to see people just move forward. Yeah. This is going to definitely end on A one way or another.
Now 28 seconds. The high ground has already been taken here. And oh, that's a 1-for-1 exchange. But they will be able to get the res on the other side, and they find one more. This is huge, forcing them back. No, there is time. 15 seconds for the point to unlock before them to try and regroup and go for the retake here. But you can see just this high ground, just dominance is so important on these point A and point C takes.
Yeah, and you see a really interesting strategy. You see somebody's pushing actually from the entirely other side, and that's so unique to this map that you can be like, we're pushing A, let's move from C, you know? That's why you gotta just watch every single angle, and it looks like it's working. It actually worked perfectly. They took down 4 maybe people, and they're probably gonna get at least 1 more, if not 2 more. This might be an entire team wipe just because you flanked to A from objective C. You love to see it. That is Mountain R&D.
No one can even get onto the point. They've got the Ashmar punch ready to go. They're not going to use it quite yet. It's going to be the Ashmar punch on the other side, but they don't really get anything off of it. They still need to heal up, and now here it is. Oh, the punch gets shut down by that nade, but it looks like the trades are still fairly even on either side. Might be going the way of the Powerpuff Girls. Exia finds one, keeping things a little bit even here as we do have the energy cable out, and now the Dawn gets cleared. And in overtime, seems like it's going to be the Powerpuff Girls to finish things off. 99.9%. They just need the extra time ticker to go away. And there it is. Powerpuff Girls taking the first round.
Wow, this is huge. One more round, and Powerpuff Girls will eliminate the team that sent them to losers in the second round of the tournament. They had to make a huge losers run through a lot of other strong teams, and they have clearly learned a lot from that. I mean, again, this is, I think, the first time that this team has actually played together as a competitive team. So every single match, you're going to learn more stuff. And that's why I always suggest to everybody out there, if you're interested in this and you have people to play with, even if you don't think you're going to do super well, even if you don't do super well, enter these tournaments, because you can see the learning that has happened. As I mean, obviously these players are ridiculous as single players, right? But you have to play as a team in these tournaments, and you can tell from round 1 to now, Powerpuff Girls, which is such a funny name still, has just gelled so much more, and you love to see it. So they could pull off a pretty big upset here. Again, Inarizaki, they're the second place in the Pilot Showdown, the first Newtype League tournament. They were, I believe, third or fourth in the EGL tournament, the other big tournament that happened very recently. So Inarizaki was potentially a favorite to win this, one of the favorites alongside Bozos. And if Powerpuff Girls can pull this off, that will be incredible.
And here we go. Once again, with that same rollout, you go for that transform, you go for the thermite, but this time around it gets a little overextended and goes down to Batty, who shorts his thermite of his own. This time, it will be Inarizaki with the lead. That's going to be 2 knocks down. So despite being on match point, they don't get the early advantage here, and now Inarizaki push forward. They're the ones that will maintain high ground dominance. That's just the knock that will get rezzed out.
Oh, look at this. Such a strong hold on the high ground. I mean, I feel like we're just saying that over and over, but that's realistically what you have to do, and it all comes down to that. You can just see how difficult it is, even with these huge Ashmar flames, right? Like, I mean, that is just doing so much damage. I want to see how fast that ult builds when that Ashmar lands. That's got to be ridiculous, but that's not enough even to be able to fight past that high ground, and I don't know what they can do to actually do it. There we go. We're going to see Dom going down. Wow, that's a really risky res. I would love to see if that actually... No, it did not go off.
Yeah, they did have the coverage from the Sazabi there, but they had to fall back. And so it's not going to be enough here for the Powerpuff Girls. They do at least force them off the point, but they're not really going to be able to pick up much if they stall on the Inarizaki's side. Inarizaki actually just falling back and not losing any presence whatsoever. It's about retaking the height for themselves. And now they've only got a few seconds left remaining. Now making the swap on over. It's going to A. So similar story once again, just flip-flop to the other side of the map.
Yeah, if you have the high ground on one site, you have the high ground on the other side. That's very, very funny. But that can make it really difficult if you never actually have to go to B, which you still have the high ground on B, technically, no matter which site you have if you're holding the high ground. But here we go. This is already a brawl. They're just pushing in immediately. There's a lot of strangely positioned suits right now. Yeah, look at this aggression pushing up so far.
Yeah, Listic, though, did pop the Hades throughout all that still. They've got 4 online right now, or will have 4. I believe the Dom is only 5% away from having that Screaming Nimbus. So we've got the Trans Am, we've got the Unigore Ultimate along with the punch for the Ashmar here. 50% ticking on up. This second round looking vastly different now here for Inarizaki. We do have the Hades being popped from the Powerpuff Girls. They've actually lost out on 2, and that's such an unfortunate push for them. Commit so many G maneuvers for that one just to get easily cleaned up. And so now it looks like it might just be a fight for point C.
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, they are really close to being able to close it out right there. That is like going to be like I don't know, some percentage of a second, basically. It looks like to me, at least. So,
yeah, 6% off, it looks like. 93.8 is the max that Inarizaki can get.
Oh, it actually even says that.
They're trying to pick them up, pushing forward. They've actually picked up 2, but you know what? That's a fine reset. Even though this is going over to point C, I feel like Inarizaki have a really good understanding about how to try and make the push for that high ground. They're still trading back and forth, and they never actually capped the point for Powerpuff Girls. So Inarizaki basically got full value, 93.8%, and now they just need a little bit more there on point C to finish it off.
After losing a round, they may shut this out with a perfect. That is an incredible thing to see. 14 seconds until C is active, and this has literally not gone to B at all in this round. That has just gone A, C, and that's one of the things about domination is you're not guaranteed to actually get every single point in a game, which can make these maps very chaotic, and sometimes you don't get to play the strategy you want. But here we go. We're seeing a lot of G maneuvers all in a row. This is super aggressive.
the Unicorn ulti, that's the Screaming Nimbus as well, but all they pick up is one and a little bit of value here on the high ground, but it's going to be Screaming Nimbus out now for Inarizaki as they've got the Xe in the back line as well. Screaming Nimbus picks up one, and they'll be able to regroup. Never mind, he does end up falling here to that Hades as well. But it's going to be Inarizaki about to get the 100-0 extra time coming in, and no one is able to touch the points. We are now set at match points here from either side, 1-1, both in maps and in rounds here in the final map.
Yo, this is sick. This is the last match of the day, and it feels like a grand finals. This is as close as it gets, and I'm actually really glad that we're on domination here because we know that there's not going to have to be a tiebreaker. There's no way to tie in domination, so one round is deciding 100% of which of these teams makes it into the top 3, which is huge. This is awesome. I love to see this. You know, the story of Powerpuff Girls getting knocked into losers by Inarizaki. They have the chance to upset him again, but already clearly they've done better than they did in the very first time that they fought, so that's extremely impressive to see. But Inarizaki, they made such a huge adaptation in that second round, and it just comes down to this. This is exactly what I wanted to see out of this tournament. We're not even in the top 3, but this is the grand finals of today in my eyes.
Yeah, and we're going to be starting it off once again. It's been the story here of R&D. It's high ground once more as we start off on point A, and it came down to a small misstep by Batty in round number 2, where he was the first one picked. He was, of course, doing his job on the Ashmar. He's going to go ahead and lay down that Molly for that high ground. Both teams are a little bit wary of it. His is the first one to fall, either actually using that cooldown now, but it's the first pick coming out from the Inarizaki side. They pick up one. Casino's the first one to fall. Another one will go, and they are just falling like dominoes here. X-Ray is the only trade for them, but that means Inarizaki are able to get onto the point as it unlocks.
Yeah, and it looks like they even picked him back up. That is going to be such a huge lead. And I mean, you said it, it's the story of Mount R&D. If you can get this high ground, you can just hold the high ground literally for the entire game, for every single site potentially. And the first high ground, of course, going to Inarizaki, exactly like it was looking in the last game. Whatever adaptation they made, it's working perfectly. We need to see Powerpuff Girls do something different, catch them off guard somehow, or we're going to see a repeat of the last game.
We'll see if Batty can sneak in a nice Molotov, but not this time. It's going to be Ashmar for Ashmar, actually, throughout all of this, but the res is there on the other side for Powerpuff Girls. Oh, they get the snipe on to Casino, but it's not going to be that crucial because they are handedly winning out this fight right now. 33%. It's going to be the full tick here on point A, and we're swapping over to point C. So things could not be looking more dire now for Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, like I said, they need to find something. I don't know what it could be. They're sticking with their same exact team comp. Of course, the same exact team comp the opponent's using as well. No real differences. They need to find the picks. They're going to have a strong push forward. They might catch the Ashimar. It looks like, oh, actually, it was going to be X-Ray that gets caught out. Oh, but there's going to be the Trans Am that's going to clean up so many different people, and that's going to really stop that push and really hold on to point C before it's even active.
I believe that was a 2-for-2 exchange, though, so there might be an opening here. But for the Inarizaki side, they've got, it looks like 3 G maneuvers up. For the Powerpuff Girls, it's not the same. It's going to be just that Ashmar punch to try and play off of. They're going to try and get the flank here, and Ashmar can maybe knock them all down. He's going in for it. There's the punch to knock them all down. They're super low. They need the follow-up damage, and they pick off Hazel Wolf. One more maybe coming in for that pick. Batty ends up going down for his efforts, and the trades are not there any longer. Zacius finds one, but still, it's going to be, it looks like Powerpuff Girls actually getting positioning on point and start ticking up. So a little bit different from what we saw in round number 2 this time around. A little bit more fight for the Powerpuff Girls.
That was an amazing play with the punch. That totally set them up, but they need to now get into a winning position. They cannot just kind of wander around the spot, you know, wander around the zone. Oh, that Exia coming in, and that's not going to get a lot of mileage against the Dom, actually. But look at them. They're in a weird positioning. They're underneath. They're in the tunnels, and they're going to lose the zone again. It's super unfortunate.
Okay, he did actually hold on to a Screaming Nimbus there, and actually that was the right call. There was only 6 seconds remaining, and so now as the point stops on over, we've got 25 seconds before it swaps and unlocks. He will have that Screaming Nimbus available, but that's going to be the funnel along with the Ashimar punch for the Inarizaki side, who have already set up here defensively. It looks like they're ready for that drop down, though. 4G maneuvers available now for the Powerpuff Girls as they charge on in. Devotion is the first one to fall. Unicorn going down. That's less healing. That's less armor for them. And Casino, though, picks up 2 more, and now Devotion gets rezzed up. This is the comeback now here for the Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, no way. Can they actually pull this back? It's already getting really close to even. This is exactly what I wanted to see from the final game. They're holding so well right here. B, clearly the spot that's been... Oh my gosh, what a pick.
Xeros goes down. He had the Trans Am available, and now he's on the run back. They just need to try and delay, but you can see the drop down coming out from Inarizaki. They haven't found more yet, but it's just a matter of time. Armor to keep that Tail Rider still up, as they end up losing out on only 1 on this push. And here is the retake now for Inarizaki. They're at 72%. They won't be able to finish it here. We will be going to point A once more.
Oh, that point A is going to be huge. And the question is, how do you want to rotate from B to A? It's just about time to do it. Whoever can, again, hold this top spot is going to have such a huge advantage, but unbelievable that Powerpuff